Hey people, I'm in Point Pleasant, New Jersey at the Vintage Automobile Museum of New Jersey. Spanning about 75 years of time from the turn of the 20th century, this museum may be small, but makes up for it with great cars, lots of toys and memorabilia, and a great educational experience as well. While I was there, cars from the pre-war era were featured. That's 1920s through the 1930s. A 1930 Ford Model A Roadster and a 1931 Model A Coupe are fine specimens found here at the museum. Ford built this model following the highly successful and plentiful Model T. Now, what's up with Ford naming this car the Model A when he just finished building the Model T? Well, Henry Ford had already been through the alphabet from A to S before he built the Model T, and he figured that the new car was such a deviation from the Model T that he needed to start over with the alphabet. Now, truth be told, it was Henry's son, Edsel, who headed the design team for the Model A and once said this: "Father made the most popular car in the world. I want to make the best car in the world." Well, the new Model A was so fab that Henry decided to take all of the credit for himself and leave Edsel out of it. The car was also so fab that it sold almost 5 million models during the 5 years it was produced. I'd say that's pretty successful. And speaking of the Model T, most classic car museums worth their salt will have one. They got one here. Earlier I said the Model T was plentiful, and what I mean by that is that Ford built over 15 million Model Ts during the 20 years of production. Now, that's a lot of cars, but hey, I say that the Model A might have been more popular, as almost 1 million were produced on average per year compared to an average of 750,000 a year for the Model T. Mr. Ford believed that he had achieved the perfect car in the Model T and ended up making multiple variants of the car, which included this 1915 Model T Roadster here at the museum, a 4-door touring model, and closed coupes. Hey, the origin of the term pickup when referring to a light truck is attributed to Ford and the Model T. See, you could turn your Roadster into a pickup truck by ordering the option from the factory. Ford would ship the truck components to a railroad depot and you would pick up the bed. Thus, the term pickup truck became synonymous with light-duty truck-type vehicles. And speaking of trucks, a 1922 Ford Model T Huckster wagon makes an appearance here. Why called a huckster? Because people who were selling stuff, people known as hucksters, sold from their truck. Hey, you over there, want to buy something? These vehicles, commonly known as a Canopy Express, were used to transport fruits, vegetables, eggs, and other foods from the farm to the market. But these vehicles were not built in the Ford factory. Ford was too busy building Model T cars, so independent builders fabricated the bed on chassis, fenders, engines, and wheels provided by Ford. It was also possible to order a wood kit from Ford to build the wagon yourself on your Model T. The kit shipped in a crate, and the crate itself was part of the truck's body when assembled. Man, that's ingenious. Many people might think that Henry Ford invented the automobile assembly line, but no. It was Ransom Eli Olds, the founder of Oldsmobile and also the founder of Oldsmar, Florida. He invented the assembly line. Olds' assembly line had bins with parts and assemblers who walked from bin to bin to pick the parts needed to build the car. People walking around searching for parts seems a bit inefficient nowadays, so it was a good thing that this 1903 Curved Dash Model R Oldsmobile didn't have a lot of parts and that only 2,000 or 3,000 of them were produced annually. But this was the beginnings of what Ford would transform into an operation that could assemble parts into a fully running car in just 90 minutes. Ford famously said, "You can get any color you want as long as it's black." See, that assembly line was so fast that Ford decided to paint all of their Model Ts black, as black paint dried the fastest. Maxwell isn't a very well-known name among car enthusiasts, but the company got its start building one of the best race cars of the era. But by the time this 1923 Maxwell Model 25 Touring came along, racing days were long gone, and the company was actually owned by Walter Chrysler. See, the Maxwell Company had fallen on hard times and was deep in debt due to the post-World War I recession, so the Chrysler Corporation bought them. Hey, there was even a popular song of the day about Maxwell's titled Mac's Swell Car Was a Maxwell. It goes like this. They set a fast pace, but Mac won the race. One by one, all the poor rivals fell. But Mac went ahead, and the girlie he wed, for Mac's swell car was a Maxwell. Hey, what a song. Hey, the Maxwell was one of the first companies in the U.S. to market to women. Yes, and a lady and her friends drove a Maxwell from New York City to San Francisco in 1909. Can you imagine that? There were few roads, and Route 66 wasn't even a thought at that time. Well, it took her 2 months to complete that trip, and it was full of poor road conditions, mechanical issues, and navigation challenges. Woo! The Packard brothers started a business in 1890 making electrical equipment, wiring, and lighting. But they heard about these newfangled contraptions that people were calling automobiles. Well, while the boys contemplated building their own car, they went out and got a Winton. Winton was one of the first car companies in the U.S., and the Packard boys weren't long in finding faults with the car and identifying solutions to these faults. Well, when they approached Mr. Winton, he told them, "If you think you can build a better car, then do it." Guess what happened? The Packard brothers ended up building some of the finest automobiles to ever show face in America, including this 1923 Phaeton. James Packard once said of the quality of his vehicles, "Ask the man who owns one." James was rightfully certain of his cars, as Packards became known as one of the 3 P's of automotive luxury in the U.S. Packard, Peerless, and Pierce Arrow. I mentioned this museum having toys, and this Austin J40 Roadster pedal car might just be the coolest toy in the museum. And the story of the J40 might just be the coolest thing about the car. In 1949, the Austin Motor Company established a not-for-profit factory where meaningful employment was offered to disabled Welsh coal miners, and excellent quality pedal cars were built as a result. A total of 32,000 pedal cars were built between 1949 and 1971, and I am enamored by the design of the car, detail of the dash, and the super cool hood ornament. Love it. Adding to my enjoyment, one of my favorite car makers is represented, a 1939 LaSalle by Cadillac, Cadillac being one of my faves. By the 1920s, General Motors decided to start companion car programs for most of their lineup. New car brands that would bring value at read cheaper than their companion mate. This is where Pontiac came to be as a companion to the Oakland brand. And then Pontiac outsold Oakland before becoming the dominant brand when Oakland went away. Marquette was the cheaper companion of Buick, and Oldsmobile had Viking, both of which went away not long after being started. Then we have Cadillac's lower cost variant here, the LaSalle. LaSalle lasted quite a while, from the 1920s until 1940. This 39 model here was one of the last. LaSalle was even part of the lyrics in the All in the Family TV show theme song. It goes like this. Didn't need no welfare state. Everybody pull his weight. Gee, our old LaSalle ran great. Those were the days. I can just hear Archie and Edith singing it now. The LaSalle was built by Cadillac, had a fabulous Cadillac V8 engine, but was marketed and named LaSalle. The name Cadillac was not on the car at all. Well, to me, that's a cool story, and I love the LaSalle because under the skin, it's a Cadillac, the standard of the world. thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your spending time with me. Well, God bless and peace.